Everyone?
Yes.
There are like five people, six people in the lobby now. Should I admit them or?
Uh, I'm not sure. I imagine so. Look,
Thank you.
all right.
Hi, Shannon. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks very much.
Excellent. I was just moving from the from room one in order to make sure I was here to be your moderator this evening. We'll just give the students a couple more minutes to ensure that they are in the correct room. I will put the link available. This session will be for the Faculty of Science, as you can see very clearly from Dr. Sullivan's first slide there. If you need to change rooms, there's a simultaneous sessions going on for um, in other rooms. So this is for the Faculty of Science, but if you need to change rooms, I'll just post the landing page in the chat there. So, welcome to those that have joined us for this session. And I do want to introduce myself again, although you just may have seen me sort of moderating a panel of students, which was really great to start us off this evening. My name is Jennifer White. I work in the Office of Student Recruitment, undergraduate student recruitment here on the St. John's campus. Thanks very much for Dr. Sullivan for joining us this evening. I will let you know, everyone that's joined us here, that this session is being recorded. Your mics are muted and your video is turned off. So you are only going to be able to add messages into the chat or into the Q&A for us. We have someone that is going to be monitoring that. If there's any questions that come up throughout the session after Dr. Sullivan's presentation, we will get to your questions. So please use the Q&A feature or the chat to do that. Today's focus is on information from the Faculty of Science. If you have some general questions, you're more than welcome to email us at admissions@mon.ca or connect with your student recruitment officer who you've been connected with if you've signed up for our inquiry through our inquiry form. So I'll start by getting Dr. Sullivan to introduce himself. He is the senior faculty advisor for the Faculty of Science, but you have other roles at the university, I know. So I'll get you to introduce yourself, and then when you're ready, you can go ahead and start us off with your presentation.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Yes, as Jennifer said, I'm Dr. Shannon Sullivan. I'm a faculty member in the Department of Mathematics and Statistics. So that's one of the hats I wear. I'm also the chair of the Senate Committee on Undergraduate Studies. So I tend to be across a lot of the developments that impact undergraduates throughout Memorial and all of its campuses. So that's another one of my hats. But the main one that I'm wearing here tonight is, as Jennifer said, I'm the senior faculty advisor for the Faculty of Science. Now that's a bit of a nebulous term. What the senior faculty advisor does is I'm responsible for providing academic advice and assistance to students, essentially from the moment they become interested in possibly attending Memorial and maybe doing a science degree up to the point where you declare your major. And at that stage, I can kind of hand you over to the academic advisors we have in each of the departments in the Faculty of Science, and then they can guide you through the rest of your degree up to the point where you graduate. So here tonight, as the slide says, I'm going to give you a brief introduction to the Faculty of Science. I know at this point, you're not interested in the hardcore details of what might happen in your third and fourth year and what courses you should take and what the specific graduate requirements are and all that kind of thing, because that's going to come. Today, I want to give you a pretty high-level overview of what programs in the Faculty of Science are like, what your options are, what some of the opportunities are, and that kind of thing. Well, I hope my slide advanced properly, did it, Jennifer? Yes, excellent. I've been in enough of these now where, because of the way that somebody's sharing their screen, the presentation gets frozen on slide 1 and the presenter is off on slide 8, that I figure it's always worthwhile checking that kind of thing. So, Memorial's Faculty of Science, it is the largest in Atlantic Canada, and we offer a full range of disciplines. So because of that, our graduates go to lots of different places and do lots of different things. We've got graduates who move on to graduate school, to master's and PhD programs, both at Memorial and at institutions globally. But we also have lots of graduates who go into the workforce in all kinds of different ways, be it in education as teachers, be it as researchers for private industry or for the government, and all kinds of other things as well. You know, a science degree, first and foremost, prepares you to be an excellent problem solver. And that's something that's valuable for lots of companies, even in ways that may not connect directly with the major that you ultimately end up pursuing. The Bachelor of Science program at Memorial essentially has two options. You can do a general BSc degree, or you may choose to do an honors degree. And the honors degree involves a higher level of specialization in your chosen field, more coursework typically, and it also culminates in an honors project or a dissertation or a thesis, you might hear that called. And it's particularly beneficial for students who may be thinking about going on to graduate school. In total, we offer more than 100 major and minor combinations that fall under the Bachelor of Science umbrella, including more than 30 joint major and joint honors programs. So that's where you would take two major programs offered by different departments and you kind of knit them together so that you're not just doing all the courses required for major A and all the courses required for major B, but we'll find ways where, for instance, we might recognize that, oh, this requirement for this major and this requirement for this other major, they kind of overlap. So maybe we don't need to get you to do both of those. And maybe there are courses that aren't required of the regular majors, but they would work really well in this particular combination. So that's the idea of those joint major and joint honors programs. And so, for example, the Department of Biology and the Department of Ocean Sciences, they offer joint degrees in marine biology, which tends to be quite popular. Now, we don't offer every possible combination of joint degrees, in some cases just because nobody's come along and said, hey, that's something I'd like to do. So where those joint programs don't exist, there's always the option to do a double major. In terms of the departments in the Faculty of Science, you can see them listed here. We've got a Department of Biochemistry, of Biology, Chemistry, Computer Science, Earth Sciences, Mathematics and Statistics, Ocean Sciences, Physics and Physical Oceanography, and Psychology. And all 9 of those departments offer at least one major. And in fact, apart from the Department of Earth Sciences, they all offer either multiple majors, so typically a kind of a standard major, and then more specialized versions, or in the case of the Department of Biochemistry and the Department of Biology, they offer a single major, but within that, you can focus on different concentrations. So it's basically a way to tailor those majors so that you kind of do them and you focus on them in a way that's going to be particularly of interest to you. In addition to that, we also offer majors in 2 departments that are nominally housed in our Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences. So you can do a science degree with a major in economics, and you can also do a science degree with a major in geography. Those are all options for you. And we are regularly refreshing and adding to the list of majors that are available. Right now, data science, for example, is a very hot topic. And we're in the process of introducing a brand new major in data science that will, if all goes well, be coming on stream for fall 2024. So it'll be something that anybody who's interested in that kind of thing, who's attending this presentation today, would absolutely be able to take advantage of. That's still got to get all the regular levels of approval, but fingers crossed that's going to go through and that'll appear in our university calendar next year. Regardless of your choice of major, a Bachelor of Science always consists of at least 120 credit hours. So usually that's 40 courses, because most of our courses are 3 credit hour courses, but there are some exceptions to that. Of that 120 credit hours, you have to do 2 courses in critical reading and writing, at least one of which has to be an English course. You have to do 2 courses in mathematics and statistics, and you have to do 2 courses in each of 2 sciences other than mathematics and statistics. Those are kind of the core requirements that are true of all of the majors in the Faculty of Science. And then beyond that, each major has an individual set of requirements that you'd have to complete. And then you fill out your remaining 120 credit hours with electives, which could include a minor, but doesn't have to. A minor isn't compulsory in the Faculty of Science. And at least 78 credit hours, so usually 26 courses, have to be in courses offered by the Faculty of Science. And then, as I mentioned earlier, if it's an honors program, they culminate in an honors project or a thesis or a dissertation, which is kind of your capstone piece of work for the honors degree. It often involves a bit of research, sometimes original research, where you coordinate with a supervisor who's going to help guide you through that. Our minor programs, as I said, they are optional, but they can be a very nice way for you to help kind of make your degree your own and tailor a major in a certain topic by mixing in a few courses from a minor of interest. All of our departments in the Faculty of Science offer a minor program, and in the Faculty of Science, they always consist of some combination of 8 courses. But if you want a little bit of variety in what you're doing at the university, if you like science, but you're kind of interested in dipping your toes in other waters as well, you can take minors from the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, from the Faculty of Business, in music and engineering. Really, if there's a minor offered somewhere at a campus of Memorial University, you could come to the Faculty of Science. And even if our regulations don't specifically say that this is eligible for the Bachelor of Science, let us know. We'll look into it. We'll almost certainly say, yeah, no, that's a great minor to do too, and we'd let you do that. Another option, and this is especially for particularly ambitious students who may be kind of inclined both towards the science and the arts, is something called the joint degrees of Bachelor of Science and Bachelor of Arts. This program actually lets you graduate simultaneously with not 1, but 2 degrees. You wind up with a BSc and with a BA. It involves a little bit more coursework, a total of 135 credit hours, so usually 45 courses. There's some core science requirements there and some core arts requirements. And as part of that, you would declare both a science major and an arts major. The advantage of this program is that if you were to do 2 degrees separately at Memorial, you normally have to do at least 10 extra courses, at least 30 extra credit hours on top of the original degree. So normally, if you were, for instance, to do a Bachelor of Science and then a Bachelor of Arts, that'd be at least 150 credit hours. So this actually lets you do it with a bit of a 5 credit or with a 5 course or 15 credit hour discount. And so especially for students who may be coming into Memorial with some university credits having already been completed, thanks to the calculus placement test, thanks to advanced placement courses and that kind of thing, or students who may be willing to, for instance, do some courses over a couple of spring semesters, it's a way that you could very reasonably complete 2 degrees in the space of time that it normally takes a student to complete 1 degree, so the normal 4-year time frame. As I say, if you're a particularly ambitious student and you've got interest in both science and arts, that joint degrees program may be well worth looking into. Now, one important thing to bear in mind is that some science programs do have competitive admissions. Right now, that list includes the major in biology, the programs in computer science, including their minor, the program in human biosciences, which is offered by the Department of Biochemistry, the ocean sciences and psychology programs. They have certain specific required courses. They may have minimum averages that you have to achieve either on individual courses or possibly overall, and they have specific deadlines to apply for admission to those programs. So if you're interested in one of those programs, biology, computer science, human biosciences, ocean sciences, or psychology, go to the website at some point as you prepare to enter university, and certainly before the end of your first year, so you can make sure you know exactly when those deadlines for application are. Really, I do it well before the end of my first year, probably during my first semester at the latest, because some of those deadlines may be before the end of the usual first year schedule. So it's worth being aware of those so that you don't miss it. You don't inadvertently set yourself behind by a year. And it can guide what courses you register for then in your first year and that kind of thing as well. We also offer several cooperative programs. So these are opportunities to engage in some work placements as part of your program and to receive university credit for doing so. Cooperative options are available in all of our biology and psychology major and honors programs. Computer science has something that's basically equivalent called the cooperative internship in computer science. And likewise, economics has a cooperative education option. So if you're interested in going out and getting a taste of the workforce as part of your undergraduate degree, biology, psychology, computer science, and economics all offer ways to do that. Another option that we do have is a dietetics program, and that's actually offered as a partnership with Acadia University. So essentially what you do is you do your first 2 years at Memorial, and then you go to Nova Scotia and finish off your degree at Acadia. This is a limited program. I think we take 10 students per year. So again, there's an application. It's very competitive to get into that program. But if it's something you're interested in, that practical application of the science of nutrition, the dietetics program might be something worth investigating. And you can see on the right-hand side there, I've got the website for the dietetics program where you can see more information and what courses you'd have to complete in order to be eligible for it and that kind of thing. As I mentioned earlier, we are regularly overhauling, refreshing, introducing new programs and courses in the Faculty of Science. No good university, faculty, or school is static for very long. Right? There are always new topics that are worthy of investigation and of learning. There are always new degrees that are going to be important, whether that's to prepare you for future careers, whether that's new avenues of research, and the Faculty of Science is always introducing new stuff. In the last year, for instance, the Department of Biochemistry has completely overhauled their offerings. They used to offer individual majors in biochemistry and nutrition, but the Department of Biochemistry actually does more than just biochemistry and nutrition. They have specialists in things like pharmacology, for example. And so their new major in human biosciences really takes advantage of a lot more of their expertise and gives students a lot more options, a lot more flexibility. The Department of Computer Science, I mentioned data science earlier, and there is a new major in data science that's hopefully going to come on track for next year. But computer science also offers a major in data-centric computing, which is kind of a computer science specific version of a data science program. In the math department, in addition to developing that data science program, we've also diversified our array of introductory calculus courses. For a long time, we only had Math 1000, just a kind of a first calculus course, regardless of what a student's interest might be. But a couple of years ago, we introduced a calculus course specifically for business students. That's Calculus 1005. And now starting in the winter semester, we're introducing Math 1006, which is a calculus for life sciences course. And so students who might be thinking about going into biology, biochemistry, human biosciences, I guess I should say now, chemistry, psychology, you may find that this Math 1006 is a little bit more to your liking, because while it still has a lot of the same information as the standard Math 1000 course, a lot of it is done in the context of applications to life sciences. And so it might be the kind of material and the way of looking at calculus that might be a little more inclined towards your own interests. Math 1006 is a course that you can take and continue to take further calculus courses beyond that. It's equal to, but an alternative to Math 1000. So as I say, some of you may be interested in pursuing that as an alternative to Math 1000. Let's talk a little bit about the facilities in the Faculty of Science, because we've got a lot to offer in that respect. Starting off over on the West Coast in Bombay, we've got our Bombay Aquarium and Research Station, which is a world-class facility. And what we do there is we run a number of field courses in biology and earth sciences and in psychology. Students go, they spend a few weeks out of Bombay, and they engage in really hands-on research. You'll go out in boats, you'll do some stuff out on the water, you'll bring your data back, you'll analyze it. It's a wonderful opportunity to really engage with marine science in all of its many manifestations. Closer to home, we've got the Ocean Sciences Center out in Logie Bay, and that's the home of our Department of Ocean Sciences. And it also has great research space for fishery, for aquaculture, oceanography, and related disciplines. And then the pride, the newest facility that we've introduced is our Core Science facility, which is now open and is a wonderful place to walk through. It's got an enormous skeleton of a blue whale hanging from the rafters, which is a heck of a sight. So if you haven't seen it, if you're in the St. John's area, come onto campus. That in of itself is worth coming and taking a look at. It's the home of our departments of biochemistry, biology, and chemistry, and will one day, I'm not quite sure what the time frame is, but it's also intended to house the Department of Psychology, as well as some engineering departments as well. And it has brand new, beautiful lab spaces for teaching and research, lots of space there for students to make use of, both in terms of their lab work, but also just lots of nice spaces to go and sit down and hang out and do some work in a nice, quiet, peaceful environment, network with classmates and that kind of thing. So it's a really lovely building, and I'm so glad it's finally open, because it felt like it took a long time to get to that stage, but we're there now, and that's something for anybody who comes to Memorial now that you'll be able to take advantage of. Scholarships and awards, there are a lot. Many of them are nominated by individual departments. So one of the things that's always worth bearing in mind is, while Memorial is unusual in that we don't ask students who are planning to complete a Bachelor of Science to declare a major as part of the admissions process, nonetheless, we do encourage you to do that as soon as you can, ideally around the end of your first year, and there's a bunch of reasons for that. It's just nice to have an academic home. I mentioned earlier that there are individual academic advisors in all of our departments, and it's nice for them to be aware of what students are planning to pursue programs in their department, that they can reach out if there are developments that you may need to be aware of, and there may be scholarship opportunities for students in that department. But there are some that students would apply for individually. They're posted by the Faculty of Science every year, so they're worth keeping an eye out for as well. And there's a range of dollar figures there. Some of them are quite lucrative. Students, especially students who perform well academically, but also in some cases for students who may come from marginalized groups, who may show strong leadership and initiative, and who may evidence other characteristics that we look for in science students. There are some good opportunities there as well. On top of that, we have a Dean's List that honors the best of our most highly achieving students every year. And students who appear on the Dean's List 4 years consecutively, they get awarded the Lou Visinton Award, which is named after a former Dean of Science, and may also be eligible when they graduate for the prestigious Dean of Science Book Prize. Those are all things well worth keeping an eye out for and being aware of as you make your way through a science degree. But it's also important to remember that a science program is not just the coursework. Coursework's important. It always is. Ultimately, that's what's going to help you get your degree. But there's so much more to do. You don't want to come to university and focus on your books and nothing else. So, for example, all of our departments have active student societies. They offer all kinds of opportunities to meet fellow students and to engage with them and to network with them and to get support from them. You know, inevitably, most students hit a course that they have a bit of trouble with. I certainly did when I was an undergraduate, and it's nice to have a group of your peers that you can go to and get a little help and work together and maybe just, you know, rage against why is this assignment so hard, and, you know, it can be very cathartic like that. So the student societies are well worth checking out. We've also got a number of employment opportunities. I've explained these acronyms on the side of the slide, but we have a MUSEP program, which is a career experience program. SURA is our Science Undergraduate Research Award, and NSERC, which is one of the national funding bodies, they offer USRAs, Undergraduate Student Research Awards. And these are opportunities that all three of them offer opportunities to work with our faculty in all kinds of different ways. And the SURA and the USRAs in particular offer great opportunities to really get involved in active research, new research. We've had plenty of students who were successful SURA or USRA recipients who wound up getting their names on papers because they got involved in their supervisor's research and they made meaningful contributions to that. And you get paid, which is no bad thing. So that's something worth bearing in mind. There are lots of volunteer opportunities offered across campus through our Student Volunteer Bureau. We've got a Let's Talk Science program that offers hands-on learning in school settings and community settings. So these are all great opportunities to expand your program beyond just the coursework. One thing that students are often unsure of when they come to Memorial, they may have an idea of what degree they want to pursue, but they may not, and that's okay too. But even then, you may not necessarily know what you want to do with your degree. Well, for that reason, we have career advisors who are available to help students consider what options they might have, and also then help them figure out, well, if I want to be whatever once I graduate, what courses should I make sure that I take in order to help me do that? Those career advisors know a lot about the on-campus and work and volunteer experiences as well. So if you're kind of trying to figure out, well, what opportunity suits me best, those career advisors can really give you a hand with that kind of thing. Science Matters is an award-winning program we've developed for Bachelor of Science students beyond their first year, and that connects students with alumni from the Faculty of Science to help provide, you know, kind of that hindsight expertise so that they can say, yeah, you know, I was where you were 5 or 10 years ago, and here's what I've learned since then. Here's, you know, here are some lessons that I learned that might help you through your degree and help provide you with direction in terms of courses to take or career opportunities to consider and that kind of thing. And overall, we are here to help. I think the most important thing that I can ever say to a student who's considering coming to Memorial or any university, this is certainly not Memorial specific, is if you have questions, there are people here to help answer those questions. And certainly for those of you who may be considering coming to Memorial and considering doing a Bachelor of Science, that's my job, at least in my role as Senior Faculty Advisor. That's what I'm here to do, is help answer those questions. Or if I don't know the answer to the questions, and I won't always, I should at least be in a position to connect you with somebody who can. So if there's anything you're not sure about, and I know sitting here today, listening to this presentation, it can be hard to assimilate all of this information. Sometimes the question won't come to you until tomorrow or next week or next month or, you know, a year from now. Please don't hesitate to reach out. So we have a general website for the Faculty of Science, www.mun.ca/science. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. and probably by now various other social networks. I start to lose track because I'm getting old. But then, feel free to email me directly. I'm at shannon@mun.ca. And then if you are on campus, our Dean of Science's office is not in the beautiful new Core Sciences building. It is in the Chemistry Physics building, which is also beautiful, but not very new. And you can email them at science@mun.ca. And so there we go, half an hour on the dot. I hope that was reasonably brief, but certainly if there are any questions now, I will take that presentation down and I will be more than happy to answer anything that might be on anybody's mind.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Shannon. That was, very concise look at a very, very large academic unit at on the St. John's campus. So very insightful. We did have someone that was wondering about if you could explain a little further. It was on slide 5, but it was talking about the overall requirements of a Bachelor of Science. So if you could explain that a little bit further about when and how you have to meet those requirements.
Sure. I'll put that slide back up just so that we can all take a look at it. So as I said, any Bachelor of Science degree consists of 120 credit hours. Usually that's 40 courses. There are a handful of departments, computer science, for instance, offers several 1-credit courses. So technically, a computer science degree, you might wind up doing 42 courses or something like that. But either way, it'll still add up to 120. So within that, there's a few components. There are core requirements, which are typically first-year courses that everybody has to do. And so you got to do 2 courses, 6 credit hours in critical reading and writing courses. At least one of those has to be an English course. English 1090 is the course that most students start with. That's critical reading and writing, telling stories. But then there's an array of other CRW courses offered by a number of departments in the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences. A bunch of them are English courses. There are also CRW courses in history, in gender studies, I think in philosophy, and I'm sure a bunch of others that I'm forgetting off the top of my head. So they give you an opportunity then to start to develop your knowledge of and your skill in writing, because writing in science is important. At some point, you're going to be sitting down and you're going to be tackling meaty problems, which aren't just doing a quick calculation or answering a fill in the blank type of question. And you're going to be coming up with, results in a lab, or you're going to be investigating some open-ended problem, and you want to be able to write up and explain what you did, what your observations were, what your conclusions are. And so having that opportunity to get some experience with critical reading and writing is important. You'll do 2 courses, again, 6 credit hours in a couple of math and stats courses, because mathematics and statistics is really the foundation of any science discipline. There's always going to be at least some level where you're going to be looking at things quantitatively and not just qualitatively. And so having that grounding in the basics of math and stats is always going to be important to a science degree. And then you'll do at least 2 courses in each of 2 sciences other than math and stats. And what 2 sciences those are, often they depend on your major, but they can also depend on your own personal preference. And that will just ensure that you've got some good breadth and that you've dipped your toes into a bunch of different sciences as part of completing your science degree. So those are the core requirements: 2 CRW courses, 2 math and stats courses, and then 2 courses in each of 2 other sciences. Then each of the majors, they all have a bunch of program requirements as well. So they may list specific courses that you have to complete, or just an array of courses where you'll pick some out of a list. And how many of those there are and what courses those are, they vary from program to program. Some of our majors may only require about 16, 18 specific courses as part of the major. Some of them have a much longer list of requirements. And what you typically see is the more interdisciplinary a program is, the more courses it requires, because you've got to have more of a foundation to build on. So a program like behavioral neuroscience, for instance, which is an option in psychology, which is basically, it's the science of how the brain and the behavior works. That touches on ideas not just from psychology, but from chemistry, for instance, and from biology and a bunch of other disciplines. So it gets to do a bunch of courses, not just in psychology specifically, but across an array of science disciplines, so that you build up that body of understanding. And then the electives complete that. So the 120 credit hours, it'll include those core requirements, it'll include those program requirements, and then you'll fill that out in whatever way you want. As I say, a minor if you wish, but that's optional, so that you've done a total of 120 credit hours. And what you just have to make sure is that in total, you've done at least 78 credit hours in courses offered by the Faculty of Science. Now, all the requirements that I mentioned earlier, the core requirements, the math and stats courses you do there, the other science courses that you do there, most of the requirements for your major, those are all going to be science courses. They all contribute to that 78 credit hours as well. It's just out of the total 120 credit hours, when you sit down and look at it and you take off all the courses that you did to fulfill those core requirements and all those courses that you did to fulfill the program requirements, in all at least 78 credit hours there has to be science courses. And if it isn't, then that will help influence your choice in electives. So you'll make sure that you do enough science courses to bring you up to that 70 credit hour total. Otherwise, your electives can be whatever you want. And it's a nice opportunity sometimes to do a course in something that you may not have any particular interest in doing a program in, but you may just say, hey, that particular course looks really cool. I'm going to do that one. That'll count as an elective then.
Yeah, I always love encouraging students to try something that gets them out of their comfort zone or something they've never had an opportunity to study before. How would you know you're not a medieval studies minor or a classics minor, until you actually were able to study those things at a university level and get introduced into them?
It's the biggest of all the differences, I think, between the high school level and the university level, is that in high school, your array of choices is fairly limited, more limited in some jurisdictions than others. But ultimately, even if you went to the biggest high school in the world, you're not going to have as many choices as you do at the university level. And so now you're going to get exposed to a variety of courses in disciplines you may never have heard of or barely have any idea about, but that may turn out to be something that's really in your wheelhouse. A really nice thing that the university does is it offers something called the Guide to First Year. It's at mun.ca/FYI, or the First Year Information Guide, it's called now. And that kind of takes the full list of all the university regulations and course offerings and things like that, and it boils it down to just stuff that's relevant to you as an incoming student or then as a first-year student. And so part of that is a set of all the courses that you can do in your first year. So that basically don't have any prerequisites, or at least only have other first year courses as prerequisites. And it's a lovely thing just to sit down with that website and to go through what those options are, just to see, well, what first year courses could I do? And sometimes you'll see something and you look at it and you say, oh, wow, I didn't even think that could be a university course, but that looks really cool and it might be worth doing. And you know what? You might find that, nope, I did that course, it was fine, but it's not for me, and you might never do anything else in that vein again. Sometimes you discover, hey, yeah, this is something that I really like, and I'm really good at it. And so that might lead to a possible minor, or even a major, or a joint major, or something like that. Sometimes you just don't know where the university is going to wind up taking you.
Absolutely. Or who you're going to meet. Other students that are studying a discipline completely separate from the one that you've chosen for your major.
That's right.
There is a couple of questions there, I guess, kind of related. One is, do you have to complete 5 courses every semester? And the other is, can I do my courses faster by doing coursework in 3 semesters? So can you talk about a little bit about the layout and the pace of a science program?
Absolutely. Do you have to do 5 courses a semester? No. Ultimately, how many courses you take and how many semesters you attend, that's up to you. Now, there may be some considerations that might compel you to make some certain decisions. Financial pressures, for instance, your living accommodations and your living situation and that kind of thing. sometimes that may prevent a student from necessarily doing as many courses as they might like, or it may compel you to try to get your degree done in the normal 4-year time frame and not take any extra time. But in terms of university regulations, you can take as long as you want. A standard course load is 5 courses per semester. And that's generally what we'd recommend. But if you're working a part-time job and you need that in order to pay your tuition or to pay your rent or whatever the case may be, or if you've got a bunch of family obligations, 5 courses may not be possible. For some folks, that's just too much to take on at once. And they may find that they just benefit a lot more and they enjoy their courses more and they get more out of their courses by taking fewer than 5. You've got that freedom. There's nobody at the university who's going to tell you, oh, no, you can't take 4 courses or you can't take 3 courses. You've got to take 5. There may be, requirements of student loans that may come to bear on those decisions and that kind of thing, but nothing from a regulatory perspective. In terms of what semesters you can go fall, winter, spring. So Memorial is divided up. It's got a 14-week fall semester, which runs from September to December, a 14-week winter semester, which runs from January to April, and then a 14-week spring semester, which runs from May to August and runs simultaneously with 2 6-week, what we call sessions, intersession in May and June, and summer session in July and August, which basically offer courses that run at twice the normal pace. So instead of having the usual 3 classes a week, you'll have 6 classes a week. That's how it gets done in half the time. Can you take courses in all of those semesters? You can. What I generally find, though, is that the fall and winter semesters, they're a lot. That's a lot of work, especially if you are doing a full 5-course load. It's nice to have a break. It's nice to do other things for a while after the winter semester before you plunge into the fall semester. I did a spring semester course once at the end, in between my 2nd and 3rd year. And so I wound up doing fall, winter, spring of my 2nd year, and then fall, winter of my 3rd year without a break. And I can tell you, by the end of that winter 3rd year semester, I was tired. I was ready for a break. So you certainly can do it. And for some students, it's a great choice. For others, taking a bit of time off from your courses over the summer and doing something else, even if it's something else involved with the university, like looking for a job on campus, looking for one of those research opportunities, can often be a good thing as well. So ultimately, it's a very personal choice.
Yeah, absolutely. Summers, they're a great opportunity during the spring semester to pick up a class or a prerequisite for a course you want to do in the fall. But you do have to pace yourself and make sure that you're not straining your brain too much.
And the reality is that the course offerings are more limited in the spring
Yes.
semester and in the intersession of the summer session. So it's not, sometimes you just may find that there's nothing really available for you to take because departments tend to focus on the fall and winter semesters, and not every discipline really suits itself to that accelerated offering in intersession or summer session. Math, for example, doesn't offer any intersession or summer session courses because it's just not practical for students to absorb the amount of content that we have in one of our courses at double the rate. It would not go well. So not even for somebody who's very skilled at math.
So there was a question again back to the majors that are competitive entry, those that you mentioned that had a limited number of seats and a high demand. The application process, is that someone's asking if that's typically for the fall semester only, or can they get declared as majors in a different time frame?
That varies from department to department. Some departments will have application deadlines if you're looking for admission to the fall or to the winter or to the spring. Some departments will only take students for the fall. Offhand, I'm not sure which departments are which, but all that information would be available on the departmental websites.
And I know that your title as senior faculty advisors, but talk about how students would get advice once they are a major within a program, even when they're making course choices in their third and fourth years.
Yeah. Well, as I said, every department of the Faculty of Science has an assigned academic advisor. So that's a staff person who a huge part of their job is to sit down with majors in their discipline and give them that kind of advice. So it's as simple as making an appointment with that individual. Some of them may even have just drop-in appointments where you don't even need to have made contact ahead of time. You can just go and knock on their door and sit down and have a chat with them. And you can sit down and talk through what your plans are and what courses you think you might need to take, or maybe you have no idea what courses you need to take, and they'll help guide you through. And I often recommend that, especially as you get into the latter stages of your degree. So when you're a third and fourth year student, it's worth having a conversation with the academic advisor in your department at least once a semester, just to make sure you're on track, just to make sure that there's not anything that you're overlooking or any opportunities that you're not aware of. And that will really ensure that they're in a position then to guide you all the way through and get you to graduate to graduation in the pace that it should be.
That's, really good advice to get good advice. I know I often get asked by students, well, what if I choose the wrong major or a major that's not well suited to them? Like, how easy is it to change? When can I change? Am I locked in? And I think at every point in the time, it is about getting good advice about whether you're changing a degree into a degree program. How do you use the courses you've already completed?
And I think it's really important to remember you are never locked in, right? Lots of students enter university with absolutely no clue what they want to do, and that's fine. I think there's sometimes a myth that you need to have your whole rest of your life figured out by the time you start grade 12, and nothing could be further from the truth. You can come to Memorial. It's nice to know that maybe you want to do a science degree, or maybe you want to do an arts degree or whatever. And it's nice to even have a sense, okay, I want to do a science degree and maybe I want to go into the life sciences or the mathematical sciences or computational sciences. And just to kind of have a particular corner of the faculty that maybe you want to angle yourself towards. But you don't need to have anything figured out more than that. The just having even that level of idea will help guide your course choices in your first year, in your fall semester, in your winter semester. And hopefully by doing those courses, you'll figure out on the one hand, what courses you seem to be enjoying. And maybe you'll want to take a little bit more courses in that. Maybe this is a discipline that will be worth considering for a major. But it will also figure out the courses that you definitely don't want to do more of and the disciplines that you definitely don't want to consider for a major. Because knowing what you don't want to do can be just as helpful and just as useful as figuring out what you do want to do. But you're absolutely free to take the time to figure that out. Nobody's going to come to you the day you step onto Memorial's campus and say, hey, what's your major going to be? Where are you going to be 4 years from now? You've got that freedom, that flexibility. And even if you decide at some point that, yeah, I think I want to major in this, and then you realize at some point, nope, that's not for me, or I like that, but I want to tweak it. Maybe I thought I was going to major in one thing, but now I actually want to pursue a joint program. You can do that. The closer you get to graduating, it becomes a bit harder to do that without adding extra time to your degree and maybe extra courses. But ultimately, you have that freedom that you can always change your mind. And nothing's ever set in stone.
Yeah, there's lots and lots of flexibility and lots of choice there as well. I'm just going to have a quick look through the questions. I think we've gotten through all the questions because you're obviously going through the presentation. There was a few questions that came in that were well answered by the presentation you provided as well. So I guess to sort of finish off and we'll give people another couple of minutes in case there's any questions that come in, but any words of advice, anything that you would want to say to students that were considering coming to Memorial that that you have found over the years, maybe either unique to Memorial or something that students have really enjoyed or been impacted by once they come to study here?
Well, I'll get to that in a second. I did notice a question about med school, and I can
Oh, I'm
address
sorry,
that.
I missed that one.
Yep,
Yep.
no problem. Because ultimately, medical school, certainly at Memorial, as at most universities, is a second degree. So you typically have to complete an undergraduate degree first, then you apply to med school and go through that process. Medical school, and I can say this because, as it happens, my wife went to med school, so I've been far closer to this process than I ever thought I was going to be. Medical schools don't care what degree you do. They want students who are well-rounded, who have excellent academics, because of course admission to medical school tends to be very, very competitive. They want students who have done well on the MCAT, the medical aptitude test. But beyond that, you can do whatever program you want. So if I look at my wife, for instance, she did a science degree. She did a double major in mathematics and behavioral neuroscience. But her classmates, they did other science degrees, they did arts degrees, engineering, music, nursing, pharmacy. Pretty much her class it touched on every area of the university. What's really critical, because med school is so very, very competitive to get in, you want to find a program that you're going to love, that you're going to be willing to invest lots of time and effort and energy into, that you're going to get those top grades that you need in order to be considered for admission. There's no magic program. There's no one program that sets you up better for med school than anything else. There are courses that you may want to take to help you get ready for things like the MCAT. So it's always nice to do a couple of chemistry courses, a couple of biology courses, a couple of physics and some organic chemistry, just because those are topics that loom large on the MCAT, and that provide a nice foundation for stuff that you see once you go on to med school. But you can always do those as part of a minor or simply as electives. So really, you want to find a program that you're going to have a real interest in, so that will encourage the best grades possible, and realistically, so that you've got a good backup plan. Because lots of people apply to med school, lots of people don't get in. And so it's good to have something that you can fall back on then. You can say that, well, if that doesn't work out, or if you just change your mind at some point and just decided, no, you know what, I'm not interested in med school anymore. Now you've got a degree that you're going to be able to take and parlay into something that you're going to love just as much, if not more. That's my advice where med school is concerned. Back to your question, Jennifer. No, I think my biggest piece of advice when it comes to university is take advantage of the resources that are available to you. There are lots of resources available in the Faculty of Science. Most instructors love having students come, knock on their door during office hours, sit down and have a conversation, whether it's about the course that they're taking, whether it's about their research, their particular discipline, the students' plans for the future. These are conversations we love to have. We work at universities because we love engaging with learners, and that's you guys. Beyond that, we have help centers where the folks who work there, they are skilled at helping with whatever the particular topic of that department is. They want students to come and ask questions and provide that guidance. And there's the Academic Advising Center. Again, folks who love helping students plan their courses and figure out what degree they want to do. At the high school level, the help and the resources often come to you. At the university level, they're there, but the responsibility is on the student to seek it out. So do that. Engage with the student societies. Take advantage of all the things that the university has to offer, and that will help shape your degree into the best possible experience it can be, not just academically, but socially as well.
Wonderful advice. It's a great place to finish up the Faculty of Science session. Thank you so much for coming, providing the presentation, answering questions, giving these students a little insight into what it's like to be a science student. And Oh, I can hear someone speaking there. But the next session is going to be going ahead in a few minutes. So in 5 minutes in this room, we are going to have another session starting, which is going to be for the Faculty of Engineering. But we also have 2 other simultaneous sessions that are going on. So I'm just going to pop them in the chat if you are interested in attending any of these sessions. Basically, you will go back out into the main room or the landing page for the event, and that will take you to all of the links for the different sessions that are going on, and you can choose the room that you're most interested in. Thank you again very much, Dr. Sullivan. Saw you in the hallway today. I had a group of students with me. So it's always nice to see you, and good luck, because I know you teach as well. Are you teaching this semester?
I am indeed 3 seconds of math 1,000. So,
Oh, very good.
and perhaps if any of you are taking calculus in the fall, hopefully I'll be teaching again then, and I'll look forward to seeing you in my class. In the meantime, any questions you have, again, I'm shannon@mun.ca. Please don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. So
Take
please
care.
stay in this room in just a few minutes. We're going to start a session on the Faculty of Engineering. But if you do need to hop out and attend another session, we also have in room 1, the School of Music, and in room 3, the School of Human Kinetics and Recreation. And just use the link that's provided to go back to the landing page. Thanks again, and we'll start with engineering in just a few minutes.